Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
And welcome to Adith Emmanuel on this fourth Friday of the month of December. Whether you're joining us here in person in Mount Laurel or joining us through the blessing of technology, and if you are joining us from remote, I would invite you to say hello, Shabbat Shalom, and share with us where it is that you're joining us at this time. We're delighted on this fourth Friday that our adult choir will be leading us in the music. And of course, Herb Malamet, though we celebrated you earlier in the month, we know that this is your, as they say, Acharon Haviv, our dear last time with you as official capacity as our accompanist. And so we all are going to help our choir sing. And we turn to open with music on page 648 in the brackets. We open with Shir Chadash, a new song.
Song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
We turn now in our Siddur to page 120 for the lighting and blessing of our Shabbat candles. We're delighted that Shira Keith, Jaden Keat, and Deborah Golder will be leading us in the lighting and blessing of our Shabbat candles, followed by the Kiddush.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
As we turn now to page 123 for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei bari hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho b'ahava u'ratzon hilanu, zikaron l'maseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehillah, lemekrai kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu b'charta, v'yatanu kidasha, mikohamim, v'shabbat kadshecha, b'ahava u'ratzon
As we turn now in our Siddur to page 138, 138, we continue with Lecha Dodi. We remain standing as we have greeted the Shabbat and welcomed Shabbat in. We turn to one another. And if we happen to know the person next to each other, turn to someone else in front of you, behind you. Introduce yourselves to one another and greet one another Shabbat Shalom. If you're joining us through the blessing of technology, feel free to say Shabbat Shalom where you're joining us and introduce to one another, yourselves to one another in the chat. As we turn now in our Siddur to page 146, as we're able, we remain standing and continue with our call to worship, Baruch Hu. We continue on page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives its form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך
We continue on page 159 and 158. As we read together on page 159, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We turn now to page 161, Hashkivenu. As we turn now to page 162 for Vishamru, that prayer where we honor the observing of Shabbat.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat b'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael od hilolam b'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael od hilolam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat ki sheshet yamin asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et haaretz ki sheshet yamin asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat.
On page 164, we continue. As we're able, we rise in body and spirit for tefillah. We continue on page 173. As we join together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. As we turn to our prayer for gratitude, Modim, we turn to the song card, and it is on the side that has the trees with music. At the bottom of the page, Modim, we are grateful. On page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
Shalom Rov al Yisrael Amcho Tashim Leolam. Shalom Rov שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים
We continue our prayer now silently, whether we are guided by the words on the pages of our Siddur through page 181 or other prayers throughout the prayer book, for those meditations and thoughts in our hearts. We turn our thoughts and prayers now to those who are in need of healing, and so we turn in our Siddur to page 371 in the middle of the page. If you're joining us through the blessing of technology and are thinking of those who are in need of healing, I invite you to add those names to the chat at this time. In our extended Adith Emmanuel family, we're sending blessings of healing to Bob Epifano, Marlene Kaplan, Meredith Gelman, Marion Portnoy, Carrie Amarillo, Ian Clark, Malcolm Fletcher, Ellen Bertuglia, Goldie Schultz, Mindy Fisher, Kayla Chana Bat Adan Leib Umasalea, Barbara Savage, Marlene Gratchner, Sophie Gaia Siegel, Sarah Gardner, Cindy DeRicio, Harry Greenberg, Nick Baud, Deb Nielsen, Moshe Ben Elizabeth Theodore, Rosalie Middleman, Jennifer Ness, George Goldstein, Harriet Eisner, Carla Teisch, Linda Drachman, Chaim Ben David, Eileen Davison, Craig Davison, Hugh Morton, Art Bond, Roberta Levine, Jordan Steinberg, Lisa Galda, Ed Crosby, Myra Kaplan, Jeff Schaefer, Louis Alahat, Carol Schaefer, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Michael Infanti, Gary Garnick, Ann Marsden, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohen, and others whose names we're thinking of who are in need of healing. If you're here in the sanctuary, I invite you to, as you're able, to rise and mention those names aloud as my hand passes through the congregation.
Nicholas Vasikius Jr.,
George Bishop, Lois and Bernie Moskowitz, David and Ronna Kreiser.
Diane Schuler, and Sandy Krasik.
Judy Winogren. Baruch Atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim.
Mekor
turn now our thoughts and prayers to the state of Israel, and we turn to page 377. As we're able, we rise. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim yishlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Let us say, Amen. You may close your books. As we near the end of our secular Gregorian year, it's been my custom, as I did last year, to reflect back on what were some of the top Jewish stories of the last year. So what are some of the top Jewish stories of 2023, or those stories through a Jewish lens? When I do this, I first reflect back in my own memory and try to think what happened upon the past year. And after that, this year I brainstormed with a colleague. And both of us said, let's go find some good news, right? It's been a tough year for the Jewish people, especially as our hearts turn toward the East. And so we wanted to find some good news Jewish stories. And after I brainstormed with my colleague, I started to reflect back on Jewish journals throughout the year to see what events or people they highlighted. And the end product that I share with you tonight is not the top 10, but rather a top 10 through my Jewish lens. And before I share my list, I'd just be curious to what are some of the things that you're thinking about from 2023, which are Jewish stories that come to mind. So take a moment to turn to somebody near you and share those stories, those memories of 2023 through a Jewish lens that you're thinking of. And if you're joining us through the blessing of technology, you can add those stories you're thinking of into the chat. So I'd be curious if anyone you were sharing with said something interesting. You said, yeah, we were both talking about that. Or the other person said, another person, anything? Oh, the installation, some local Jewish news. The installation, finally after a year and some. Yes. Sandy Koufax turned 86. Thank you, because I have a dearth of, as in zero, sports-related top stories this year. Other things to share. Okay, so in no particular order, neither chronologically nor popularity-wise, I share with you the following. Number 10. Well, there were some demonstrations of democracy, for democracy in Israel, and they took place between January and September of 2023. It was every Saturday night in Israel. Israelis took to the streets to demonstrate against the current Israeli government. The coalition government, which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had formed, was more right-wing than any other government that had been put together since the state was founded in 1948. And the people in the streets were demonstrating against legislation that was on Netanyahu's agenda, very highly focused on removing judicial powers. And in Israel, the checks and balances are really just between the legislative and the judicial branch. There's no executive branch because the executive branch is blended in to the legislative. So if you take away that judicial power, there's no checks or balances. And some of those demonstrations went to greater proportions of blocking major highways. And they also were not in Israel alone. They were all throughout, literally, the world. Number 9, October 7th, and what has lingered since then, which I refer to as the Israel-Hamas war. When Hamas invaded Israel with the most vile terror attack that the Jewish people have seen since the Holocaust, and the negative repercussions over these last 77 days of this war could fill a laundry list, which we're not going to go into. They touch on topics of security and anti-Semitism and the suffering of innocents beyond Israel's borders and more. Tonight I'd like to turn to some of the silver lining stories that have grown out of the Israel-Hamas war. When Israel went to war, those in the south who survived the attack moved. They left that area around Gaza and they moved to the middle of the country. And those who were in the north, close to the Lebanon border, some of them moved as well. What did Israel do? Well, the people opened up their homes, the hotels opened up their rooms, and they settled communities. I have a friend who I remember seeing on his Facebook page, I have room for 5. Anybody need a place to stay? And so we see how the Israeli population opened their hearts and their homes to those who needed a new place to stay. And for those who had been demonstrating for democracy, they quickly switched gears. They had already been communicating through WhatsApp and been organized, and so instead of organizing, let's meet in Rabin Square to demonstrate, they said, okay, we need homes for people, we need clothing for people, we need food for people, we need people to pick vegetables and fruit, because one of the things that happened was the foreign workers who were helping pick the crops, many of them from Thailand. Those who survived went back to Thailand. And the people who were called up into the reserves, they no longer were present to pick. And the people who left those areas which were close to the south were no longer living in that area. And so Israel set to work making sure the agricultural economy could survive. And I like to highlight what I learned about as a Reformed Jew through the IMPJ, the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism. My Reform rabbi, rabbinic colleagues, what they have been doing, and they're still doing now, is they have been serving all around the country, leading Shiva minions for families who are not feeling a connection to the Orthodox rabbinate, and they are offering comfort to people all over the country. Number 8. Interestingly, back in March of 2023, there was a Pew Research poll that found
that, quote, Americans feel more positive than negative about Jews. The article opens, far more Americans express favorable than unfavorable views of Jews, mainline Protestants and Catholics, according to a recent Pew Research Center survey that measures U.S. adults' broad sentiments towards several religious groups. Piggybacking this poll is another poll that was taken more recently. We received the results on December 19th. It was a poll conducted by the Jewish Council on Public Affairs and More in Common, which determined that new polling shows a sharp rise in concern over anti-Semitism following October 7th. So that Americans who describe themselves as very liberal remain most likely, rising slightly from 85% before the attacks to 86% after their concern about anti-Semitism, and to see anti-Semitism as a threat to all Americans, not just to Jews, and the conservative Americans showed the greatest increase in their concern over anti-Semitism, increasing from 51% before October 7th to 72% afterwards. So there is a concern in our country that anti-Semitism affects not just Jews, but all Americans. Number 7, here's a nice one. Codex Sassoon, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is the oldest near complete Hebrew Bible, and it was moved to Israel for permanent display. According to a Times of Israel report, the book was written by a single Jewish scribe on 400 pages of parchment about 1,100 years ago. It was purchased in May through the Sotheby's auction house in New York for over $38 million, becoming among the most expensive books ever bought. The buyer, by the name of Alfred H. Moses, an attorney and former U.S. ambassador to Romania, acquired the Codex Sassoon on behalf of the American Friends of ANU and gifted it to the ANU Museum of the Jewish People in Tel Aviv. And so there it resides. Number 6. In the spring of 2003, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion ordained 3 openly transgender or non-binary cantors. Now this is a noteworthy step in Judaism broadly and in the Reform Jewish movement specifically. Because when I was ordained in 1993, while there were a few gay and lesbian rabbis who were out, many of them stayed hidden for fear of not receiving a job placement and that they wouldn't be employed after ordination. In addition, back then, there were professors who wouldn't sign the ordination certificate if they knew that you were gay or lesbian. And there was one professor in particular, the late Dr. Rabbi Eugene Borowitz, who wouldn't sign anyone's certificate because he didn't want to have to ask if you were gay or lesbian. And what's the good news out of this story is that over the years he evolved. And though I didn't do this, he said, I will sign, if I didn't sign your certificate, he evolved in his acceptance of what I now call an LGBTQ plus rabbis, and he did sign certificates in retrospect if you brought them to him, and then the newly ordained rabbis from there. So this is a big milestone in Judaism and specifically for Reform Jews. Number 5, shifting to the arts. At the 76th Tony Awards in New York, 2 winners, one for Best Play was Leopoldstadt, and one for Best Revival of a Musical was Parade. Both of them were nominated for 6 Tonys. According to the Jewish Journal, Leopoldstadt takes place over the course of the first half of the 20th century in a Jewish neighborhood in Vienna, Austria. It is an autobiographical story of multiple generations of a family of the playwright Tom Stoppard as they faced religious persecution in Europe. And Parade, the musical, is about the real-life trial of Leopold Frank, a Jewish businessman accused of the rape and murder of a teenage girl in 1913 Atlanta. And with themes of anti-Semitism, racism, and corruption, Parade originally premiered on Broadway in 1998, and Jewish actor Ben Platt received a Tony nomination for the Best Performance by a leading actor in his role as Frank in this musical. Also in the arts, we turn to film, number 4, influential movies of summer 2023. 3 of them. Go ahead, one. Barbie. Oppenheimer and Golda, right. So what's the Barbie movie's connection to Judaism? Well, it's based on the doll created by Mattel's co-founder, Ruth Handler, née Moskowitz. The movie, written by Greta Gerwig and her Jewish partner, Noah Baumbach, is filled with satire as the world's feminism and the patriarchy collide in both Barbie's and the real world, and we know that Barbie gets her name, the daughter of Ruth Handler's was Barbara, and that's where the doll got her name. So even Barbie is Jewish, or she's named after a Jew. The film Oppenheimer tells the tale of Jewish physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, who became known as the father of the atomic bomb. According to Ray Monk, the author of Robert Oppenheimer, A Life Inside the Center, he says, to the outside world, he was always known as a German Jew. And he always insisted that he was neither German nor Jewish, but it affected his relationship with the world, then that is how he was perceived. Golda, of course, is the portrayal of Golda Meir, the first woman to become Prime Minister of Israel, and this movie specifically is about her navigating the challenging times of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. And featured in that film was U.S. Secretary of State at the time, Henry Kissinger, which brings us to the next topic, which is famous and influential Jews who died in 2023. Henry Kissinger was a child refugee from Nazi Germany, and he died at the age of 100. According to Haaretz News, despite being considered one of the most influential Jewish figures of the 20th century, former American Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was a controversial figure who was widely perceived as indifferent to what many saw as existential Jewish concerns. A third person who died in 2023, Jewish woman by the name of Judy Heumann. Has anybody heard this name before? Judy Heumann. If you have not, I highly recommend that you go see the film Crip Camp. Or is it Camp Crip? Crip as in cripple. It's a documentary that is truly inspiring. And it's advocacy in action for those of you who are social justice folks. She died this year at the age of 75. She was diagnosed with polio at a young age as a toddler. And she's known as the mother of the disability rights movement. And when she had polio, she was disabled, and through her life, her parents championed for her, and she got that as part of her personality. She broke down barriers for disabled children at educators in New York City schools, and she protested until federal legislation protected people with disabilities, until that legislation was passed and advised multiple presidential administrations on disability issues. A third person who died in 2023 is Alice Shalvey, who died just 2 weeks shy of her 97th birthday. According to E-Jewish Philanthropy, Shalvi was an Israel Prize-winning educator and pioneering religious feminist. She created the English department at Ben-Gurion University in Beersheba in 1969. 6 years later, she became the principal of the Pelech High School in Jerusalem, which was a religious school for girls that broke with the convention that never existed before because it taught its students Talmud, girls learning Talmud. In 1984, she co-founded what's known as the Israel Women's Network, which remains one of the leading lobbies for women's rights and gender equality in Israel. And I had the pleasure my first year in Israel when I was in rabbinical school in Jerusalem to sit in on a lecture and a teaching with her. Number 2. It's no surprise that Jews are among those who received Nobel Prizes in 2023. So we mention Drew Weissman, who won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Dr. Weissman is a world-renowned physician and researcher at Penn Medicine. And according to Penn Medicine, he is best known for his contributions to RNA biology and COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Weissman, along with Catalin Carrico, PhD, were jointly awarded the 2023 Nobel Prize in Medicine for their discoveries that enabled the modified mRNA technology being used for both Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna's vaccines in preventing COVID-19. The other Jewish person who won a Nobel Prize in 2023 is Claudia Golden, who won the prize in economics for her pioneering research on identifying drivers of gender differences in the labor market. And for number 1, I share with you that the Union for Reform Judaism, that is our umbrella organization, used to be called the Union of American Hebrew Congregations, but now is known as the Union for Reform Judaism, and it celebrated just last week its 150th anniversary, 150, with workshops and song sessions and opportunities for people to pray together. I was unable to attend, but some 1,000 people gathered to mark this milestone. Highlights of the weekend included Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff addressing the Assembly about Israel and anti-Semitism, and member of Knesset, Rabbi Gilad Kariv, who is the former president and CEO of the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism. He served as a keynote speaker, as well as the president of the URJ, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, offering the Devar Torah during the Shabbat morning worship, where he discussed, in the context of a post-October 7th Israel and Jewish world, the ways over the centuries that Jews divided have and still need to come together as a Jewish community. So as we reflect back on a year of various difficult events for the Jewish community in our country and across the globe, we can also pinpoint some joyful and celebratory milestone memories and causes for celebration. As we head into our Gregorian year of 2024, may it be a new year of goodness, healing, well-being, and peace. Amen.
To fill the time as the choir comes up, I will prepare you to join in our sermon song. Repeat after me. Please bless our road.
Please bless our road.
That's about half of you. One more time. Please bless our road.
Please bless our road.
The journey we have yet to travel on. Looks like we're ready.
Let our steps be light.
and our thoughts unburdened. May the stars be bright and our journey certain. Let us make new friends, call no one stranger, never meet dead ends, and be led away from danger. Please bless our road, the journeys we have yet to travel on. Please bless our road, and may we learn from where we came from. Let us not forget to stop and smell the flowers. May we look ahead, but live for every passing hour. Let us